Alrighty then, we're back. Welcome everyone to Dynasty the Podcast Show. I am your host, Ira Thomas Bush IV, and this is the 101 show. Woo! Those pom-poms up in the sky, I don't know. But we back. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to do my show today. I just want to say, man, it's one of those situations where I've been having a great day. I moved around a little bit. I usually do that on Mondays, anyways. I try to stay active and busy as possible. I try to keep the same routine. That's one thing I respect about my real father is he never was the type to he's not that type. He wasn't the type of person to sit around and make someone else do his job. Or if somebody doesn't do their assignment, he always was able to pick up the slack, and he didn't ask no questions. It might be a little frustrating over time. Older he got, the more people was turning against him. A lot of people was hating on him just for the type of person he was, true person he was. And I respect that a lot about who he was. And I just had to say that because I'm getting to that age where people think I'm mad or something, but it's just that I'm frustrated that people think that they have the abilities that I have, and they want to cut corners, but you didn't put in the kind of work that I put in. And today it was one of those situations. I was getting my lunch. I'm still new in this area, so I'm one of those people. Everything should be even. We all trying to eat, we all trying to maintain. But there's so many people that are institutionalized about the pettiest things, which is why they are in a position that they don't want to be in for real. And then they mad because I'm just happy to be who I am. I'm excited to be alive. I'm excited to have a new leaf every day. I'm excited about the routine that I'm currently doing. All this stuff, I'm excited about my child being who she is just because she's that bright. Same with my nieces and nephews. I'm excited about those. And also my oldest niece, she's still high level in music. She's still learning music. She's still going to be able to teach it or even perform. And this is the stuff that I'm already excited about. I'm not stunned nobody who sitting up there, call themselves being at the top of their game or at the top of they don't even be at the top. They be worried about mine too much to be at the top of something. Because if they was helping me or even observing me, they would put their best forward. That the people that I mention all the time are in the best forward position that I want them in, even better, even greater. But they so busy worried about the wrong thing. So that's what the issue is. I don't have time for those type of people. I don't wish nobody to not be alive unless you're really trying to in my people's lives. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even talking about wishing. I'm talking about that's what is going to happen to you. You know what I'm saying? It's like you do something to people who ain't stunned you, and then you come back and want something to be good for you. That ain't even making sense, dude. You know what I'm saying? You over here playing in spiritual warfare and you losing just because you attacking the wrong people. Just because you ain't minding your own. You owe the money non-strong tree. You know what I'm saying? Your intellectual property, not my intellectual property. Your energy is not my energy. And I talk about this all the time, but it's just that situation where it's getting out of hand that people could continue to do stuff over and over. And they do stuff and they don't even finish the job. They don't even finish what they started. You know what I'm saying? You don't know who protect my spirit. You don't know what I came from to go the other way or why I went the other way. You don't know why. So it's just like you gotta mind yours. That's how I feel about a lot of stuff now. But that being said, shout out to the fam. Shout out to anybody associated with Elite Association, anybody who's dealing with me on that level. I appreciate y'all because I'm back really fully active. It's all about putting the time in your community. And I just want to preach that to people who, I know it's people that's finna graduate, got their degree, still are handy and doing their trade or whatever they have picked. They're earners. They're not people that's not giving back to the community. And you can't get mad because they have a strong arm on what they doing, their assignment that they pick. That's the number one thing. They talk about the Bible all the time. But everybody does have an assignment in the Bible. So I had a discussion that goes right into what was going on yesterday. And people have this. The more every time I hear the same story, I hear the same story over and over in these Bibles. People quoting these Bibles and these verses, and they don't read. They don't really read through the Bible no more. They just quote them. So all I'm telling you, all you doing is referencing the Bible. And then I had asked this question yesterday about when I was talking. They don't have an answer. They be trying to come up with their own answer, and their answers don't be better than my answer. So I'm looking at you like I don't really want to hear what you got to say. I'm not dissing that Bible. I'm not dissing the Bible, but I do know that there was people before this Bible was made. I do know the real story of how that Bible was made is they tried to change it into they whitewashed the first man's words and whitewashed it from getting kicked out of England or going back and forth from Europe, and they turned it into a way to control their slaves and the people of native lands, of this land, the Americas. So this is known facts. This is historically facts. So that Bible is a reference to, controlling your emotions, controlling your spirit, and it was a lot more powerful. The food was a lot better. The air was a lot fresher, and depending on what time you in, besides the ones when they was out here poisoning people and doing all this demonic treason activity, which was high level spirituality that they was learning from different places, and they didn't know what they was doing for real, and they wasn't cleaning themselves properly, and they was thinking that you're supposed to live in dirt and live with animals and all kind of stuff that was going on when they was trying to do all the scientific stuff that they learned and didn't learn completely, and they still don't know because when you go listen to these people in the government system, they still think that some of this stuff is what they're supposed to be doing because they want to try something different from the people that's telling them what it really is. They be killing people that know how to hallucinate the stuff that they use that is natural, their heals. They want to kill those people off. They want to steal these people ideas. They want to go to these lands and take over and even infiltrate and poison and kill off the stuff that's supposed to heal us. All this stuff is documented in the 2020s. So this is not nothing new. This is the problem that I'm constantly trying to preach, because I have not left the United States of America to learn even more that I want to learn. Or experience what has been said, whether I learn it or experience, whether it's true, whether it's false. I seen it. That's just how I see things. And it just goes back to people just being ignorant. We don't have I just don't get it. I talk about resources all the time. That piece of paper is a resource, it's an entity. But then again, we have everything that's here, everything here. I gave the example about, a man in today's age should have a truck just to clean up and pick up stuff off and put it in the right place, the recycle bin, the scrap bin. They should just have a truck for that. You ain't got to get paid. It's places that you can get paid, but just have that mindset to get your $50 and drive around your community and pick up stuff. That's one of the main things that I put on the Elite Youth Association. The young people should know and remember that you just keep your area clean. That's one of the things that my father taught me. That's one thing my grandmother taught me. Pick up after yourself. You know what I'm saying? This is basic one-on-one stuff. This stuff does not happen. There's people that do stuff that's so nasty, they want people to pick up after them. Still, just because you the color of your skin, go pick up trash after me. Like, what kind of mindset is that? You know how many percentage of people can afford a maid? It's not that many. There's not gonna be that many. And it's the basic one-on-one is to clean your own ass. Like, clean yourself off. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. So it's just like I be thinking about the basics in the beginning, the basics. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna sound too negative about it. I had experience. Okay, I don't want to get to. Oh, I'm gonna talk about this. I'm gonna do that first. Um, yeah, I forgot what the guy was. Damn, I forgot I did the live on. Hold on, so I got my live on my Twitter X page. So I'm gonna try to pull it up here. I can't remember where he said he was from, but it was some part of my bad. It's like the noise always gonna happen when they don't want people to speak right and correct. So my bad. We're gonna take a little. It ain't nothing that they can do, but we're gonna still continue to do our job. That's okay. Hold on, I can't even end it. If I end it, it's gonna mess up my Twitter X. So I forgot to write the name of it. Now I put my notebook out just for that reason. But I ain't gonna trip at it. All right, let's continue. Okay, well, I'm gonna just give if I can remember it, I know. Okay, I'm gonna just give you an example, and I'm gonna try to look up some stuff about it. I can't remember the exact place he said he was from, but I wanted to pick on him because he was like, okay, the guy in the facility, I told you I'm in a new area. It's kind of like it's kind of like a college dorm type of situation, but I ain't tripping about it. It's better for me because I'm not dependent on my mom or my sisters or anybody in my family. Despite the fraudulent activity that goes on, the stuff they try to do, to bully the people that care about you, that want you to actually to elevate, or even just keep you in a certain situation. But the more you be in a situation, the bigger that I still be. I'm still myself. You get what I'm trying to say? My personality outranks a lot of people's money. You get what I'm saying? It's an entity. My entity, me as an entity, is bigger than the money that you have. That's how big of a personality I have. That's how big of a input that I put in the community and the atmosphere. That's just what it is. So I apologize again for your money not being more important than me, and that's just how it looks. And the fact is, people want to yell, run around and yell, and seem like it's me being alive or whatnot. But it's still the fact is, you got the money, you got the resources, but you're not better than me. You stole, you fraud, and you still not better than me. Because if you was, I would be out here building buildings. I would be out here having meetings. I would be out here balling out. I'd be on the floor seats. I'd be doing all this nice, things for my child, in the biggest way. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even be stunning nobody. I would be, because I still know how to get that to the bottom. I still know how to get back properly. You don't have that you don't have the spirit to do it. It's fake when you come and do it. That wasn't your assignment. You might have had only one assignment, which was to be a fly fresh guy, or have a lot of kids or children, depending on what you decided. Bonds was way bigger. People have stripped me from some of the greatest things, or delayed me, just because they're jealous of what I say, and that's one of the biggest parts of it. So you can't stop that. You took what, 5-10% maybe. I'm still might gain all that back just because you made a lot of people that care about me mad. You just gotta, when you get your day gonna be your day of reckoning will come type of situation. But it's just one of those situations. Okay, all right. Yesterday or a few days, this guy goes around. He's from London. He told me he's from Armenia, Anaya, some place. He thinks he's a big time. He think he's like, when somebody get put in the United States from a different country. He's from London, by the way, and I didn't know he was from London. And he was like, he started gibberishing. He starts trying to talk like very, very proper, and like whatever the issue is in London, that's his issue of why he's in America. My job talk about how London threw half threw a lot of people out of their country because they deemed them unworthy to stay there, which is why there was a lot of European London people in the Americas and in Britain and all that. So this guy's part of the United Kingdom and the British and the London, whatever treaty, he's in that big old circle. But he's black. He's black. He's a black white person. So they treat him like the doormat in his country. So he come here, he think he's some kind of high powered black king, black white king. He got a bunch of white people following him around, but he's dirt poor. They never gonna give him $1. And I'm looking at him like, you definitely don't outrage. I'm not mixed with the European at all. I'm full blooded. That's what I'm trying to look at him like. What you competing with? You ain't competing with me. You ain't even on my level. And I've been here for real. My people was here. Somebody in my family on the other side was snatched from Africa and enslaved. You know what I'm saying? And the other side, they was here chilling out on the beach and catching fish and having a, kumbaya and not on the fire or something. You know what I'm saying? That's how it was back in the way back before they started trying to kill everybody off. So I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, okay, cool. You got it. I'm looking at him because he'll ask me the night before. He was like, I went, because how it's set up. I went to the closet where everybody bins are, so I could have a private to change my outfit. And he like went right behind me. So I just checked. And I was like, "What you clown ass? What you following me for?" It is, I know everybody been here, but this is like free. We got free time. We just coming up from Bible study and like late night service or whatever. And I was like, well, I kind of checked him real quick. He was like, he had to kind of jump back, like not like, and he's like, "Are you all right?" Like what you said on the street, like you want like what you gonna do? I'm like, "What you mean? We in a facility like this? You want me to get thrown out for fighting you? That's some clown shit." The very next morning, he did the same thing. I'm outside, like we still 2 centimeters from the place. But I go to the senators hall every day. Like this was one of the first. If I might even be able to have time to swing through the day, so I'm still gonna sign in if I got time after my show. Man, I do what I got to do. Try to get me a couple dollars. It ain't no petty. It's something that I like to do. So whatever. He's like he walked past me, but there's like a person with a dog. There's somebody with a camera right there. There's 3 other people that's white behind them with cameras, and it's probably a camera on top of the roof. Like, what do you think I'm gonna do? Fight you in front of everybody? Like, you a little goofy, and you too small. I would slam you on your neck. That's how I looked at them. I'm like, man, these people really that bold and brave. This is how I look at a lot of people because like they not even prepared. I've been trying to keep my whole circumference strong, but it's like I said, spiritual warfare is serious. It's people that's very very evil. They're very very unintelligent about the way they attack me. So you got to get things cleaned up. The older I get, the more I understand. So it's just one of those situations. They don't want me to be as strong as I'm supposed to be. And like I said, the U.S. Army, they act like they slow and retarded. They haven't got the common sense to come bring me in on a real meeting to discuss what they actually have done. They want to do all this fake ass spiritual technology warfare instead of bring me in like I'm not one of the most important people they need to patch stuff up with because they disrespected my grandfather's complete cap of being an army, and it wasn't no disrespect to the countries that they went and fought against. These people helped both. These people were strong men. They just was that strong. They didn't do nothing wrong when they was there. They was doing their assignment, and that's what was documented when they was in the service. That's how bad it was. That's how it was because they wanted to be little black men, but they documentation said they was doing the right thing, which is save lives when they went to war. So I ain't tripping about all that. Everybody know I spoke on this already. I want to reiterate it while I'm in Washington D.C. so these people don't get confused again, and they don't get me confused with some guy that's that arrogant enough to think that I got to even answer to him because he's from London. So what? You practice enslaving people, okay? So what? What you gonna do? You can't beat me now. You want the camera people to see you and all. You can't beat me in no fight. It was like that before. Like, that's why y'all needed all the guns and the poison and the whatever tactics. 30 people versus one to slay hang me up on the tree or the ancestors that came before me. That's all. So we gotta get things correct. Speak on how it really was. So and I'm here, so that means mine survived. And you still mad because you finna be poor for real. You over here in America trying to get rich. Go to London, see what they do there. Doormat again, reject again. Come on now, get right. So I had to speak on that from it was pretty funny to me, but I just be feeling like these people think I'm intimidated by them, and then they want me to act out. So I'll be like, I don't understand. I don't know. I be doing my job. I do my assignment. I go up there. I sign in. I listen to what they say. I document and decipher what they say, and I give my opinion on it. What is it? What am I doing wrong? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now I'm finna get even more active in the community. So I'm actually helping you. That's what I don't get. I was doing that when I was 18. I'm doing that now. I'm 34. That's just what it is. Jealousy is not gonna be something that I go fall into because half the time y'all don't be on my level mentally. So then y'all physical only gonna last but so long. And I'm not even weak physically. Like I just was describing how much they attack. So that's what all I got to say. Let's move on. We're gonna read the executive orders today. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. Well, dang. Okay. The executive orders today. All right, now we're pulling it up. Hold on. This is from March, by the way. All right. We're gonna start with okay, I don't know if I read this one, so I'm gonna reread it if I did. It's promoting access to mortgage. I think I read that one. I read that one. We're gonna read the one that was okay. One, we're gonna read three of them. I'm gonna read this. Okay, the first one is establishing the task force to eliminate fraud. I'm gonna reread it if I already read it. Purpose and policy. American taxpayers fund a vast benefit system and citizens in need that include housing, food, medical care, cash assistance, and more. States administers these federally funded programs, and some states have embraced loopholes to avoid individual eligibility validation, allow self-certification and eligibility. Sorry about the noise again. Expand eligibility far beyond the Congress intended. Worse, despite accepting federal funds, some states have refused to institute basic fraud controls such as providing enrollee information and federal government that will allow the verified eligibility as a result of illegal aliens, criminals, foreign gangs, bureaucrats. State and local officials, non-governmental organizations, and eligible providers exploit these programs, which are intended to provide safety net and lawfully eligible Americans with ease. This exploitation and lack of control to prevent, I like how they put this, resulted in widespread fraud, waste, and abuse and expense. The American taxpayers who pay for the utilize these programs contributing to substantially in national debt. I'm gonna read the rest, but I'm gonna stop right there. You know what? Elite Youth Association members, I want y'all to remember what they just said. Cause I owe now I'm gonna tell y'all first, okay, I owe for Elite Youth Association to stay certified. I only owe them for less than $500. So I want them to understand that's what that's what they said. I want because I know I'm still official. But you know that they got me in the system. They owe me about. They claim they can't even find where my income tax money went. They say that they sent it out last year, and I ain't getting out one check from these people. These people they're delusional. They owe me over now. My Ira Thomas Bush the fourth is on my income tax check, and it's on the Elite Youth Association as the president, the CEO of that company. Now, if y'all paid me my $3,000, y'all don't think I could pay y'all 500 under $500 that I owe y'all? Y'all don't think I wanted to pay that? Y'all don't think I would have paid the other 2,500 to get it trademarked already? Y'all don't think I would have did that already? So I'm not even going. I'm gonna ignore this. I'm gonna take this as a diss because y'all stupid and y'all retarded and y'all still going back and forth with pettiness and y'all could have something way bigger and greater. And I'm gonna take this as an offensive executive order. So I'm gonna continue to read. Self-dealing and political actors use such public benefit programs to solidify control over the communities and our political system. Due to lack of immigration policy and immigration fraud, certain public officials admit into our country and provide sanctuary from federal immigration laws to migrant populations who are likely to rely on means-tested public assistance programs, welfare, and increase of political support and power and public officials providing the benefits. This increased support insensitive public officials to maximize the flow and welfare of these communities and make public officials who do so more powerful. Many of these public officials then fail to police these programs and in some cases willfully turn a blind eye to fraud, waste, and abuse within them. To ensure that welfare flows these migrants due to insufficient election integrity, measures some migrants who are not eligible to vote with the same public officials permitting widespread ballot harvesting schemes that compromise our election integrity and help these public officials remain in power. And let's stop right there. Now they're talking about, voters fraud. I seen that they're individually doing stuff to help state by state because federally they do not want to fix the scheme when they elect a lot of immigrants in, which they want to backtrack every time. They want to let this certain group and not let this certain group in. You want to let all these European countries come in, then y'all get mad about the people walking over the border from Mexico to Texas, California to Mexico. Y'all want to cry about that, but y'all want to let everybody fly over and be freely doing whatever with over millions of dollars in their bank account, stealing from us. That's why we still can't play Asia back. Because y'all still want to bring all these demonic ass people over here from Europe or wherever they came from. They ain't coming from Africa or Asia mostly. They coming over to figure out why y'all still ain't paid them back for all the evil things y'all done to these people. And y'all still want to y'all want to weaken all the strong men and bring them over there and sit them like sitting ducks like they was the ones doing all the demonic forces, but it was y'all. Right from the people that they calling immigrants, they blame the Mexicans, but they need to blame all these other people. And that's just how it's going to go. Now let's continue. Staggering fraud and waste in Minnesota alone. In the case of point, the federal prosecutors in the state estimate the medical fraud in recent years could total the billions, nearly 9%, roughly 866 million spent on food stamps in Minnesota each year, estimated to spent in error. Non-profit Feeding Our Future engineered a scam that stole nearly 250 million intended to feed needy children in Minnesota by opening up fake meal sites, submitting fraud claims and millions of meals that were never served. One of the defendants in the scam was also charged with submitting false claims. Autism service programs would subject to widespread fraud. Hundreds of millions of dollars in federal child care funding in Minnesota were stolen by authorized ring and Somalia immigrants and others who used the stolen money to purchase cars, property, and luxury travel and sent the funds overseas. The federal government invested in the allegation that some of the United States taxpayer dollars such subject to fraud in Minnesota were even funneled to one of Africa's most heinous terror groups. All that was ignored and undetected state officials. There is also a strong reason to believe that similar problems exist in the states, including California, Illinois, New York, Maine, Colorado. In fact, Minnesota and other 20 other states filed the lawsuit to block federal government and even conducted a basic review to determine the enrollees. In fact, the taxpayer funded the benefits to supplement nutrition assistance programs such as extensive undetected fraud that could only exist in a system that ignores it. All right, I'm gonna stop right there. Now, you know how people like to. This is what the issue is. They said they're trying to they did an executive order to establish a task force. So they're writing an executive order basically telling on everybody who did fraud, everybody who wanted to protect their state, everybody knows this man came in with the free for all mentality. And when his free for all mentality did not work, he is literally drawing up an executive order just to combat them. And he literally spoke like this. He really spoke like he wanted everybody to free for all. He so many times he brings up what is it called? When there's no rules. Martial law. He talk about this stuff all the time. He signed his name to this executive order, but he talk about martial law like he wanted it to happen. And that's what people was preparing for. This is why the food was important. This is why. And then he had the nerve to call Africa a terror group. Like I told people, it's North America, then it's Africa. There's the United States, then there's two African countries that's bigger than the United States. So why is this man trying to go this Africa anyway? Why? Because the United Nations on his tail about enslavement. He wanted to be the president. He don't got no real answers to why they was enslaving and still trying to practice enslavement spirits and all this tactical, all these techniques that they want to sophisticatedly do so they could continue to practice slavery. And this is what the problem is. They want to blame somebody in Africa. They want to blame this other country and these other states. Like they ain't got a system designed, that they ain't got the reason why we still owe people is because they still want to enslave the powerful. That's the reason why. Don't put it on blame on no other body else. Just put the blame on yourself. You have not done what you're supposed to do. You want to complain about every little thing. You don't know how to work with the right people. That's just put it like how it is. Just put it how it's supposed to be said. That's all it is. Now, let's continue. Fraud and mismanagement in these programs constitute the theft and hard-earned tax dollars from American paying into these programs. The benefit owed Americans who need them, the failure to ensure sufficient federal oversight and prevent fraud, waste, and abuse has allowed irresponsible state politicians to increase federal spending in their own states, which has contributed to inflation in health care services, housing, utilities, and groceries. Now, that's one thing I noticed about some things. People, like I'd say, there was an issue with people stealing food stamps in Florida, but we don't want food stamps. There's food that grow out the trees and from out the dirt all the time in Florida. So what y'all need to stop doing is overregulating those fields and stop trying to control and kill all those natural things that happen in Florida. That's the problem. We want resources like we want freedom to do what we need to do. I'm doing my making things worse. Okay, I'm gonna tell you to read because I thought this was an area we could do our own show. So they told me this is the only area. Making matters worse, previous administration adopted policies and weakened the federal government's oversight and state administration and distribution of federal funds under these programs, including reducing common sense verification measures, expanding access with adequate controls, tolerate unacceptable error rates, creating conditions with fraud and institutionally tolerated, therefore flourish, and enabling individuals with substantial means and properly access and benefits. My administration will use this available resources and authority to fight fraud, close loopholes, enforce eligibility rules, protect benefits and eligible Americans while ensuring state administration and federal benefit programs do the same. All right, I like how y'all put that at the end because this is the stuff that I was just talking about. Y'all need to just give me my income tax check. Y'all need to let me certify my stuff so I can continue to do what I was gonna do. It's called working together. It's called trading with your brothers and sisters and your neighbors, like we originally supposed to been doing without all these rules and regulations. And it's causing issues because y'all stacking rules on top of rules. Y'all make this rule for this side of the group, then y'all make rules for this side of the group. Y'all can't do both. Y'all got to do this. What was these people doing before we came and made all these stupid rules? They were trading. They were free people. They didn't have no issues with the pollution and cleaning up their land. This is the issue that we're having. There's people that's over in this country that are not designed to be here. They think they're supposed to be pampered. They think they can shit anywhere they want to be shit. They think they could poison and pollute water. They think they could cipher from super strong humans because they are degenerate, and they don't have the strength that a lot of people have. Certain people have. They need to go back to where they came from. That's the things that y'all need to be talking about right now. So that's it for that executive order. Let's continue. Let's go to the next one. Preserving America's game. What does that mean? Oh, that's about the Navy. That's not that important. Okay, I'm gonna read it because I love football. Okay, for over a century, the Army Navy game is known as America's game, which is not the truth. American game was like baseball or something. Has stood a symbol of excellence, but the reason why they're switching it to this game because this is the people that wanted to kill all the black baseball league, the Negro baseball league, which they did it. They did. They ended it with by putting a couple black men in the MLB, and then they called it Baseball America's Game until now. So we're gonna continue it. Has stood the symbol now that everything is getting caught up and there's so many African descended people in MLB and there's African descended all over the football field and the European white men is getting eliminated because they're not the strong athletic people that they want to prop them up to be. It is what it is. But let's continue. A symbol of excellence in the American spirit, now the recent potentially ongoing expansion of college football playoffs. The other postseason college football games threatens to encroach upon the second Saturday in December, a date traditionally reserved exclusively for America's game. Such scheduling conflicts weaken the national focus of the military service academies and, and detract from moral building event and vital interest in the Department of War. Accordingly, it is the policy of the United States that no college football game, specifically college football game or other postseason games, be broadcasted in a manner that directly conflicts with the Army Navy game. Now, you know what? I don't mind because I recently started, I don't follow a lot of people on Instagram. But like I told you about the Army, they use it for white supremacy only now in 2026. They don't respect the black man in the United States Army or any service, so they want to try to you know make it seem like it's like it didn't matter what the black or brown people contributed to the service. They want to treat those people with the they want to disrespect those people after they finish their service or their 4 or 5 years or 4 to 6 years or however many years, 10 years they spend in it. And I'm not talking into this because I'm actually, I have a willing to go in right now and to learn and to try to respect it from my perspective, not just my grandparents who the amount of work they put in and I mean protecting us and the whole entire country with their assignments, and they did not do nothing heinous when it was there. So I want to put that out so I won't know other countries looking for them. One's already ascended, another one's retired, and they still went after him. So, I'm going to speak on it all the time. And I want, he didn't complain about it. I want to make sure that is known. But he does deserve a quiet retirement or a retirement that he wants to have or, whatever his wishes is, so that's how I feel about that. And, like I said, that's pretty much what it is. I respect what respects me. So that's just what it's going to be. Now, let's continue. The next executive order further the continuance of the Federal Emergency Management Agency Review Council. Let's read that. This is a Federal Emergency Management Agency Review Council established by Executive Order 14180 last January the 24th. Council to access the Federal Emergency Management Agency and continue. So this is basically a executive order to reassure that they need to execute these other executive orders, which has to do with Federal Emergency Management Agency Review Council. That's what it was. This basically what it's about. Now, what I have an issue with this, someone has the pen to write these things in, and this is what I mean by stacking things that is the same thing over and over just to get your way. People don't want to go by what you wrote in because it doesn't make sense to the majority of the people. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's what the problem is. You cannot use your pen if you only wanted if you only you're in a position to lead 50 states, but you only wanted to help just your little tent and your little camp. That's not going to work. So you're going to continue to write these emergency things that's not an emergency to everybody in the country. You're going to continue to cause war because you want to prove a point to a little circle of people, and everybody's not agreeing with that. I'll say 70 to 80%, if not more, doesn't agree with that. So nobody want to go to war. Nobody wants to be in a position where they fight for something they don't understand. So that's the biggest thing I have. It might be emergency. You might not be emergency to 95% of the United States. So you have to be mindful of these things that you continue to write, and you continue to stockpile rules on top of rules, and you have to review these things, and all these it becomes straw man stories because nobody want to hear what you're talking about. So that's pretty much it. I'm not going to speak on anything. Today's been a great show. I think we pretty much touched bases. What I would say is, baseball's back. Still, on the fourth there will be Final Four stars. I think the women got a game, if I'm not mistaken, for the girls tonight, and then basketball, NBA is still alive. So enjoy your little time, take care of your family. I'm trying my best to stay on a court to reach certain goals that I put in front of myself. I don't want to fall behind. I don't want to be delayed anymore. Just put it like that. That's the biggest thing is me being delayed. I gotta move around just to get things accomplished. I don't mind, but you won't. I do not wish to be delayed. I want people to move out my way, and it's not in a negative way. It's just like sometimes I just want people to communicate with me so I can communicate back with them, let them know what's going on. That's basically what I go through. I don't want nobody to feel like I'm stepping on nobody's toes either. So, and I'm not a timid human being. I just don't have time to have issues that I don't want. That's unknown. Like say you want, I don't need to have an issue that doesn't need to be an issue. Just put it like that. So that's all it is. That's it for today. We will be back tomorrow. This is Dynasty the Podcast Show. This is my 100th show. I'm glad you guys are listening. I wish it wasn't so much noise in the background. I'll probably be in the booth tomorrow if I get here early enough, or if some weirdo don't come in here and rush in here like they got something important, more important, because I think my show's pretty important. It's pretty cool. I try to make it fun. I try not to be, I try to be thorough on my words that I say. Just put it like that. So thank y'all for listening. This is Ira Thomas with Support. This is Dynasty Podcast Show, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.